So far, we've focused on making AI conversations more natural and context aware. So we looked at how the AI can remember previous messages using features like message placeholder, which allowed our chatbots to maintain multi-turn conversations like ChatGPT or Gemini. Back then, the AI could generate responses freely, which worked well for casual conversation. But the outputs were often unstructured, sometimes too long, inconsistent, or sometimes hard to process automatically. Now, we're moving into the next step, which is structured responses. So instead of letting the AI respond however it wants, we want to define a schema that specifies the exact fields and types of information we want in the response. So this actually guides the AI to produce outputs that are predictable, organized, and easy to work with. So for example, we can ask it to summarize the review and identify the sentiment, and it will return the information in a clean and structured format. So the key idea is that structured output turns the AI from just a conversational partner into a reliable data source. So it complements the whatever we've done before. The AI still remembers the context of the conversation, but now its responses are also consistent and more readable, making it much easier to integrate into applications, dashboard, or any system that needs such actionable data. So let me jump to the code and then show you what I mean by that concept here. So I'm going to create a new folder here, which is going to be structured outputs. Let me give this as number 3. So inside this, I'm going to create a new file, and then the file name is going to be structured output.py. So here again, we're going to be using the GenAI model from Google. So import chat Google generative model. I'm also going to load my credentials. So .env import load.env, and here I'm going to introduce something new, which is a typed dict data type. So I'm going to load my credential, define my model, which is going to be a Gemini Flash model. So as I said, we want a proper structured output, right? So for that, we're going to define a schema. Let's write review. And the type is going to be typed dict. What we want is a summary, which is going to be in string, and a sentiment value, which is going to be also be in a string. So it can be a positive, negative, or sentiments like that. So now what I'm going to do is, instead of directly invoking the model, I'm going to convert this model output into a structured model output. So structured model equals to model dot with structured output, and then I'm going to provide my review class here. So what this does is, whenever this model is invoked, it tries to base its output on this particular structure provided here. Okay, so let me define my prompt. I'm not going to use a prompt chat prompt template. You know how to use that. So I'm just going to give my prompt here in a simple approach. So let's say this hardware is great, but the software feels kind of bloated. So many boilerplate apps, and my phone keeps hanging when I play PUBG. Okay, so this is going to be my review. And then based on this, I'm going to invoke my model with a structured model dot invoke, and then provide my prompt here. And then I'm going to print my response. So Now, if I try to run this, let me run this. So what I'm going to see is I'm going to see a structured model output in this. So as I said, we gave the model a schema to base its response upon, and then the response is just based on the schema here. We have a sentiment, and then the summary. So the sentiment is negative, and then the summary is just hardware is great, but software is bloated with boilerplate codes, and the phone hangs when playing PUBG. So it is just trying to summarize this particular provided review prompt here, and then the response is quite well structured. Well, if I try to do something like this, so if I give a new prompt and then okay, I'll also show you what happens if we don't provide such structured outputs here. So my prompt is going to be generate sentiment and summary of the review below. Review given. The review is, so if I paste my review here, or I can just do this, I can hit new prompt and then use this as f string and then include my review using this prompt placeholder. Well, if I invoke this with not my structured model but with my model, then I'm going to see that my response is going to be very much unstructured, which I don't actually want. So I'm not going to print this for now. Let's not print this. We'll just print it with the previous approach that we've done. Okay, something's wrong. I'm not sure what. So let me check again. Okay, we've not used the function invoke here. So let me write invoke, clear this, and run this again. I've not printed my result, in fact. So let me print my result too. So as you can see, the response is quite mixed. It says, here's the sentiment and summary of the review. Sentiment mixed to negative, positive, the hardware is slightly highly praised, and then yeah, stuffs like that, which is not actually structured. So we can actually base our LLM output response and then ask it to base it on the provided schema here. We can also include the details of such schema, but we'll do that in our upcoming video. So I'm going to end this video. Stay tuned for the next one. Thank you.